I'm sure many of you have heard the phrase, defense wins championships, and in football, that as well is certainly true. In fact, there was an entire era in football where clubs would try to score just a single goal, then focus everything into keeping the lead not by continuing to attack, but by parking the bus and dedicating the rest of the match entirely to playing defense. And the craziest part was that it worked. But of all the legendary defenders that have gone through the ages and paved the way, even up until the best that the world has to offer today, there was no one else who could strike fear into the hearts of the opposition quite like Paolo Maldini. He's regarded by many football fans and players alike as the greatest overall defender in football history. But what exactly did he do to gain such widespread respect? Well, today we're gonna look at Paolo Maldini's career and see just how he became the most feared defender of all time. Paolo Maldini comes from very prestigious football roots. His father, Cesare Maldini, is a club legend and the former captain of the Milan squad that won the club's very first European Cup in history. He was regarded in his days as one of the best defenders in the world, so naturally, much was expected of Paolo to live up to his father's legacy. But nobody would have guessed the kind of player Paolo would become. Paolo Maldini would break into Milan's first team at the insanely young age of 16 years old. Now, some thought it was nepotism that he was even in the club, just because his father had huge respect and influence in Milan. But Cesare Maldini was not kidding when he talked about his son's incredible potential and skill at such an early age. At just 17 years old, he was added into AC Milan's starting 11, playing as a fullback, and as a teenager, Maldini was forced to immediately play against the best footballers, playing at what was then the most competitive football league in the world. And this was an AC Milan squad that was serious about trying to build a footballing dynasty, slowly making their way to becoming one of the most feared clubs in world football. And to have a 17-year-old starting at a position where mistakes would lead to losses, in a league where defense was the most important aspect of the game, was completely unheard of, showing you just how legitimate Paolo Maldini really was. His skill set was perfect for the position. Many people think that tackling is the most important skill a defender can have, but in the words of Paolo Maldini, if I have to make a tackle, then I have already made a mistake. Defensive intelligence involves so much more. Maldini was a master at anticipating the movements of attacking players, as well as having amazing timing to make the right interceptions. He made sure his positioning, anticipation, and interceptions were always the priority, and the very first option to take. And this was strange, because back then, defending was, in a big part, a very physical rule, especially in the way that Serie A played. So the intellectual and tactical part of it wasn't really a priority for the defenders of his era. It was always reacting to the attacker instead of forcing them to react to you, or being proactive in anticipating the attack. That's why Maldini was the perfect revolutionary defender who was incredibly solid and could help keep the goal safe. And just like today's sponsor, you'll never feel a wallet more solid and secure than Ridge. I'm sure many of you have seen Ridge before from other creators because they really do make amazing wallets, key holders, and many other everyday carry items. The Ridge wallets hold up to 12 cards plus room for cash with your choice of a strap or clip. And they're also made with RFID blocking technology to keep your cards safe from digital pickpocketers. With over 30 colors and styles to choose from, as well as over 50,000 5-star reviews, coming with a lifetime warranty. Just look at this beautiful matte black color I got, an incredibly clean finish with attention to detail, plus this beautifully designed key case, and just look at that beautiful deep black finish. And the Ridge team are so confident that you'll like it, they'll even let you test it for 99 days, and you can send it back for a full refund if you don't like it. And you can get yours now with the best offer using my link ridge.com/Raymar, and you can save up to 40% on their anniversary sale campaign between March 15 and March 24. So make sure to go to ridge.com/Raymar or click the link in the description today. But anyways, make no mistake, when Maldini did have to be physical, he was absolutely great at it, even from a young age. Maldini already had a big frame and was much more physically developed than many players at his age. As a teenager, the man would already lay out and body full-grown men, and you can't even hate on it because he was never viewed as a dirty player. His aggressive tackles would always get the ball first, only receiving 3 red cards in his entire 25-year career. His challenges and tackles were full of precision, and the quickness at which he was able to do it was really what threw opposing players off. And maybe the best aspect of his tackling skills was how well he timed his challenges. challenges. Maldini knew when to back up and give space and when to go in strong for the recovery. Maldini revealed secrets into his technique by looking at the attacker's body language. Whether it be putting their heads down, turning their back, or having made a bad touch, Maldini would use a variety of tactics depending on what the opposition is currently giving him. And you'll see exactly what I mean as you watch more and more highlights of his defense. But Maldini's greatest skill set on the defensive end was by far his ability to mark opponents and force them to react to his movement. You already know that Maldini was a beast when he went for the tackles, but his defense was so good that again, it wasn't all that necessary. Sir Alex Ferguson once said, Maldini went through the entire 90 minutes without tackling. That is an art, and he is the master of it. In one-on-one situations, Maldini knew how to force his opponent to go where he wanted and stuck with his man, giving the opposing players as few options as possible on where and how to attack. He'd use subtle contact with his arms to put attacking players off balance without making it too obvious, while also using his body as a barrier and still knowing how to dictate the pace of his opponent. And if Maldini was ever beat, the man was a very agile defender as well. He had decent pace but incredible reaction speed for his position. His lateral movement especially helped him defend well against pacey players that pushed the ball far and relied on off-dribble speed to beat their defenders. And the most interesting thing is that Maldini rarely let through balls get behind him because of his awareness and early prevention measures on the defensive side that always put him 2 or 3 steps ahead of his opponent. Anticipation, timing, positioning, movement, technical ability. Maldini had all the qualities a great defender should have. Probably the best overall defender of all time. And on top of all that defensive greatness, Maldini was also a very skilled player for his position. He was incredibly calm and composed, never having a look of panic on his face handling the ball, no matter how hard the opposition would try to press him. His passing, ball control, and vision were also one of the best you could ever expect from that of a defender. In fact, in the words of Ronaldinho himself, Maldini was one of the best defenders in Champions League history. But what's so impressive about him is that when he was on the ball, he didn't look like a defender, but an elegant midfielder. And coming from one of the most skilled footballers of all time is surely a compliment to Maldini's ability. Maldini was also an excellent crosser and a very effective attacking threat, scoring and assisting in around 33 goals during his career. And the man had an immense stamina to keep defending at the highest level while continuously helping his team on the counterattack throughout the match. And in his prime, Maldini was easily the most feared defender in the world. Even the best and most skilled players didn't look forward to being defended by Maldini. Zlatan Ibrahimovic has once said, Maldini was the best and toughest defender I ever faced. He had everything. He was a complete defender who was strong, intelligent, and an excellent man marker. And if you know Zlatan, he rarely ever gives anyone praise, especially defenders. Maldini even made it hard to attack for a guy as big as Zlatan was. And when he was still a youngster in AC Milan, Maldini even battled it out with the late great Diego Maradona. And he was holding his own. Although very physical, you had to give respect to the young boy who was giving 110% into making it as difficult as possible for one of the greatest footballers in history to do their thing on the attack. Most young men defending Maradona, although he was out of his prime, would have still struggled greatly. But Maldini was up to the challenge and did a very good job doing so. But easily the best player we can use to gauge just how good a prime Paolo Maldini really was at defending is no other than Ronaldo. I'm sure if you didn't know who these players were, by the way Maldini was defending them, you'd think they were just average footballers. That's how good his defense really was. The man was a defensive wall, and every opponent knew what they were about to get when they played against him. Because another part of Maldini's career was his level of consistency throughout those years. And throughout the later part of his career, you can still see Paolo Maldini giving his all to play defense. Even against a young Cristiano Ronaldo, although his legs weren't what they used to be, Maldini still had the fire, intensity, and passion to defend. Throughout his nearly a quarter of a century career with AC Milan, Paolo Maldini has done it all and shown the footballing world what it means to be the foundation of your squad. His leadership, ability, and composure has seen him achieve every accolade you could want as a defender for your club. He's won 7 Serie A titles, 4 Italian Super Cups, 5 European Cups/Champions League titles, and 5 UEFA Super Cups, along with finishing 3rd place in Ballon d'Or voting in 1994 and in 2003. one of the few times a defender has ever made it in the last few decades, and certainly one of the only defenders to be nominated more than once. And although Maldini came close to winning the World Cup in 1994 and the Euro in 2000, he decided to prematurely retire from international football, which is a shame because he would have definitely been included in Italy's 2006 World Cup winning squad, and they probably would have had an even easier time with him on the pitch. But overall, I don't think anyone else in football is regarded as the best in their position of all time more than Paolo Maldini was. Yes, Milan was definitely a dynasty back then, and I've already talked about them in another video, but as talented as they were on their attack and midfield, they would not have been nearly as successful without their defense. And overall, Maldini was the biggest part of that defense towards nearly 3 decades that he's defended the club. And like they always say, it's defense that wins championships. But that's gonna do it for me today, guys. Let me know where you rank Paolo Maldini in the list of all-time great defenders. Also, if you have any other video recommendations, let me know in the comments below as well. If you enjoyed, leave a like as it really is the best way to support the channel. And make sure you subscribe and turn those notification bells on for more videos like this every week. But anyways, thank you guys for all the love and support, and I'll see you in the next one.